Hey everyone, Pressito here. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about launchpads and my top launchpad picks for the bull run. And if you were around for the 2021 bull run, you'll know how insanely well pre-sales did. If you managed to get into them, then you would make insane guaranteed gains, basically some even up to 1000x, which is really life-changing gains. And if you were around at that time as well, you'll know that you could make almost life-changing losses if you held Launchpad tokens for too long. That's why it's important to get into them early before they pump. And then once they pumped, you can decide, okay, I'm going to take my profits and get out if you got into enough Launchpads on the platforms. So it's important to get in early, and I'm going to be sharing with you my top picks of my favorite Launchpads and the ones that have been active. And keep in mind, the fact that they have been very active doesn't necessarily mean they are the best. Obviously, there's some launchpads that pop up and they're very well connected and they're new and they do better than others. So these are all things to consider. So this is some stats from CryptoRank for the most popular launchpads in October. And as you know, October wasn't a great month for crypto. Only near the end of October started doing well. So the fact that it lists these ones is quite relevant, because if they're active in the bear market, it's quite a bullish sign for them. So you can see the top page visits for each launchpad. Obviously, we're not going to include Binance or Gate or the centralized exchanges. We're going to focus on the DeFi launchpads. So you can see here, ChainGPT is actually the one with the most visits, and that's quite a new one actually. Then there's DaoMaker, Coinless, Poolz, and I'm going to be going through these ones and all the information on them. So if we have a look at some average ROI of launchpads, this is for the whole year. You can see here the top performing ones actually Seedify, and they actually had quite a lot of IDOs. Then Enjinstarter, Trustpad, Poolz Finance, and then some others which haven't been that active that had IDOs maybe early in the year. Then you can see the ones that had really bad performances. Obviously, it depends on all-time high ROI as well as current ROI. So those are all things that we need to consider when going through all the launchpads. So I'm going to be starting off with DaoMaker, which is, I would say, the safest play and a very solid option. Also in this video, I'm going to be going through how you can take part in the launchpads with all the tier systems and everything like that. So also I'm going to be going over the prices and if I think it's a decent entry or so on. You can see DaoMaker is only up about 50% from the all-time low actually, which was this year in October. And that's, I think, mostly due to the market in general doing really well. They haven't been that active. So I think there is room for growth if they start being more active again in the bull market. So if we have a look at their website and see how you can take part in DaoMaker sales. So they have two models. They have the private SHO and the public SHO, the strongholder offering. So private SHOs, you have to stake a minimum of 250 DAO tokens. And then there's different tiers depending on how much you stake, and your allocation depends on how much you're staking. You can see here all the different tiers. So it's quite straightforward. Then you get the public SHO, which is anyone can take part in that. And they do that based on a scoring system, based on various factors like the value of tokens in your wallet. They take a total value and get points based on that. Also, if you share their tweets and things like that, then you get a score. And depending on that, you'll get certain allocation. But keep in mind, if you do this, there's a 30% fee on the tokens, which is quite a substantial fee. That's why the private SHO model could be a bit more attractive. So let's have a look at the CryptoRank stats for DaoMaker. You can see here the all-time high average ROI, the current average ROI. Obviously, all-time high, you can't really use that since it depends on the token unlock. Most of the time, it's at all-time high when you don't have much of the tokens. But you can see here the current ROI 0.8x. You can see past IDOs that they've had. Most recent one was the 4th of October. So it's been a month and a bit since they've had a raise. Then you can see actually virtual versions did decently well. I did cover that. And you can see some others in their performance. So that's DaoMaker. Now let's move on. And just to let you know, these projects I'm covering on in no particular order. So next up we have GameFi, which as the name suggests is more focused on gaming projects. You can see it's up significantly from all-time low. $1.2 it was at the lowest, and now it's 5.2. So it's pumped quite decently. So I don't know if the entry is all that good, although it does have more potential for growth for sure. We check out their website. We can see the available projects, so they are quite active, so that's very good to see. And if we have a look at their tier system, so how do you invest if you want to get involved with GameFi? So they have different tiers: Rookie, Elite, Pro, Pro Max, and Legend. So there's different staking requirements for all of these tiers. There's a lottery for Rookie up until Pro, and then for Pro Max, you get guaranteed allocation. But keep in mind with the price at the moment, that's over $5,000 for that tier. And the withdrawal delay also increases as it goes up. Then for Legend, this is basically an NFT that is given to 12 people who have staked the most GameFi tokens at the end of auction. So whoever stakes the most will get this Legend tier, and then you get guaranteed 20% pull, so it's quite significant. So if we have a look at GameFi stats and their recent raises and so on, you can see the most recent one was Clubcoin, which did only 2x. And keep in mind, you might think that's good, but on launch you only get maybe 10, 15, 20% of tokens most of the time. Cyber Arena did 4x, and this is a current ROI. This is an all-time high. So the latest launches haven't been that great, but with the bull market coming, this could obviously change. So that's GameFi. Next up, I'm going to be talking about BSCPad. So BSCPad, Bluezilla launches are known for pumping an insane amount. The allocations generally are quite low, but it doesn't matter because it pumps so much. And I'm talking about BSCPad, but this also applies to all the other launch pads. They have tons of them: AIPad, Game Zone, and so on. You can see it in terms of the price. It's only about 2x from the bottom, with plenty of room for growth in my opinion. It's still 2x for the all-time high of this year. And for all-time high, obviously, it's a very long way to go for that. So if we check out how their allocations works and their tiers and how to participate. So they have bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and blue diamond. And this all depends on how much tokens you hold. So the first ones just give you lottery tickets, and then the last three give you guaranteed allocation with a different pool weight. So if you hold in the highest tier, you get a very big pool weight plus private allocations, and you have to stake at least 3 hours before allocation round opens, and this applies to all of them. If we have a look at some of their statistics, you can see their all-time high ROIs for projects have been very high. Current ROI for some of them aren't that great at the moment, but you can see the ones that had the all-time high ROI, for example, Camelot, if you got into that, your gains would be really insane. And that's even off the first batch of tokens you get. You already get your initial and profit out, and the rest is just free. So that's BSCPad. You can see the average all-time high ROI is really pro. So that's BSCPad. Next up, I'm going to talk about Poolz Finance. So you can see their price is actually pumping decently since all-time low, or you can't consider here because this is when they actually had an exploit, and then as you can see here, it migrated to a new contract, and the new ticker is PoolX. And since then, the price has been holding quite strongly, and it's actually almost 2x from the bottom. So if we have a look at their website, they have actually been very active throughout the bear market, so that's good to see. Also, what they have that's really pro, in my opinion, that makes it worthwhile 100% to do, is the fact that they have risk-free IDOs. So basically, you can ask for 100% refund up to 5 days after the listing was made. So if you don't claim your tokens and within 5 days you decide, okay, I actually want to refund everything, you get all your money back. So it's literally zero risk in terms of that. And you can see they have quite a lot of sales coming up. So I think that's really worthwhile, and I really like that Launchpads are doing this these days. So if we have a look at their tier systems, if you want to invest, they have different tiers. You can see tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 with different amount of Poolz tokens that you need to hold. So for a lottery system, you need to hold at least 1 to 249 PoolX, and this will just be a lottery to participate. For guaranteed allocation, you need to lock 250 PoolX on the platform, and you'll be eligible for guaranteed allocation. If you lock 1,000, you'll get higher allocation, and the more that you lock, the more allocation you'll win. Then tier 3 gives you higher weight and private sales, and you have guaranteed IDO and pre-IDO allocation. And tier 4, you hold over 20,000 tokens, and you get to be part of the Poolz Council, which you can decide which projects are going to launch, and you have access to private sales as well as the IDO. So here you can see all those tiers, and the cooldown increases as well with the more that you lock up. So that's the Poolz tiers, and here if we have a look at some of their statistics, you can see the all-time high average ROI is 15.44. You can see they've been really active. with the recent raise is Chappies. And they had some 3 raises in October, September, August, July, every month throughout the bear market. So that's obviously very good to see. And they're one definitely to keep an eye on in the bull market. Next up is ChainGPT. So this is a relatively new project that actually came up. You can see here it listed around April time. So the market was decent then, but obviously then the bear market struck harder. And they've been always active, which is good to see. And you can see the price is barely up from all-time low, but keep in mind they did have their pre-sale recently, so there will be pre-sale releases. So that's something to keep an eye on. There's various sites to check their release schedules and so on. They also have a refund policy, which is really good. You can see that the period is between 7 and 14 days normally, where you can decide if you want a refund. So if you don't claim, then you just click on the refund option on the site and you get 100% of your funds back. So that's also risk-free. And you can see here the upcoming raises also very active, which is good to see. And if we talk about their tiers, basically how it works for ChainGPT is 1 staked CGPT equals 1 tier point. So if you stake 1,000 tokens into a 45-day pool, you get 1,000 tier points, and the tier points are amplified depending how long you stake it for. For example, if it's 365 days, you get 2x the amount of tier points. Then they have a tier system with bronze requiring at least 2,000 points, where you get a 1x allocation multiplier. All the tiers have the refund eligibility, which is good. Then you get access to different participation rounds. So it's number 2 round, first come, first serve if you're in bronze. Silver, you get guaranteed and first come, first serve, and you get a 4x multiplier on your pool weight. Gold, you get a 10x multiplier on your pool weight. And diamond, you get a 40x multiplier on the pool weight. And diamond, gold, and silver all have the guaranteed number 1 round allocation. If we have a look at their stats here, you can see their current ROI is actually quite good. It's 2.1x. So the projects that they have launched are sitting at a good multiplier in comparison to their all-time high. So that's good to see. So this is also definitely a promising one to keep an eye on. Next up, we have Enjinstarter, and this one has been around throughout the bear market, constantly active, team constantly working. So that's very pro. You can see the price is pumping decently up 2x from the bottom. And still obviously a long way to go from all-time high. But keep in mind, of course, with the token release from private sale, the price naturally would go down. So if we have a look at their website, you can see the upcoming projects. They have quite a few in the pipeline. And also for them, they have this optional refund. As you can see in the top right, it says optional refund 7 days. So this again, if you decide not to claim your tokens and you're not happy with the performance, you can just opt for the refund and get all your money back, which is obviously very pro, and I love that the projects are doing this. So these platforms are offering this, which is really nice. So let's have a look at the Enjinstarter tiers. So they have Galaxy, Universe, Metaverse, and Multiverse, and these require a different amount of their token to be staked. As you can see, Galaxy is under 25,000, up to Multiverse, where you need to hold over 500,000 tokens. So depending on these tokens that you hold and how long you stake them, you get different pool weights. So you can see if you're on the lowest Galaxy tier, your pool weight is 1.25 and your fixed allocation boost 1.75. And this goes all the way up to, if you're in the Multiverse tier, your fixed allocation weight goes up to 700 with a fixed allocation boost of 1.75. And this depends on how long you stake it at 700 for being in this tier. But depending how long you stake them, you get that boost. So you also get different benefits with Enjinstarter in terms of how long you lock your tokens for, depending also which tier that you are in. So if you're in the Galaxy tier, you don't get any extra benefits. If you're part of the top tier, you get access to all the benefits. And if you're in Metaverse and Universe, you get access to these if you stake for 999 days. So that is Enjinstarter. If we have a look at some of their statistics, you can see they've had quite a good all-time high ROI. The current ROI is not that great, but keep in mind they've launched a lot more projects, so that could be the reason for that. You can see they've been really active with their fundraisers, and the performance recently has been okay for the most part. So let's move on now to Seedify S Fund. So this project also has been around throughout the bear market. You can see their price has pumped also around 2x from the bottom, with the market doing a lot better now. If we go to have a look at their tier system, see how you can get involved. They have different tiers, and you can get involved with tiers from as little as 250 S Fund, where you get a 1.2 pool weight, all the way up to tier 9, which is 100,000 tokens, which obviously at the current price is a lot of money. But then you get a 325 pool weight. But keep in mind with Seedify, their market cap has held quite strong throughout the bear market at almost 100 million market cap. And if we go to the statistics of a Seedify Launchpad, we can see here the average all-time high ROI is really good. The current one's not that great. But if we compare it over here on the analysis of profitability, it's actually rated one of the best of this year. So let's go back to the statistics here. You can see here the recent launches throughout the bear market, all really active, which is very good to see. Next up, we have Trustpad. So they've also been really good. You can see that they're actually third place on here, but they haven't had as many launches. If we go on their website, you can see here that they have some upcoming sales. They have Friend 3 coming up on November the 10th, which is a SocialFi project. And you can see all their previous sales. To participate with them, you need to do long-term staking, where the more tokens you stake over here under their staking platform, you get more points and a higher score. And the higher score you have, the more allocation you get. So it's quite a straightforward one. If we have a look at their statistics, here you can see all their raises, recent ones, and you can see how they did. The recent ones haven't been too great, but with the market heating up, the next ones could be good. So definitely one to keep an eye on as well. Next up, we have Paid Network. And Paid Network hasn't been that active recently, but if you're around in the bull market, you'll know that they were one of the best launchpads, launching amazing projects like Star Atlas, which did just insane amount. They had Seedus Heroes, which you can see did 100x. So that's definitely a very solid one, and one to keep an eye on for sure, especially if they revive in the bull market. Then the price will pump, and this one will have really good launches. The team is super well connected, so it's definitely one to keep an eye on. If we have a look at their website, you can see their completed projects here. And if we talk about their tiers, so you need to stake at least 1,000 paid tokens from a single wallet to gain access. And obviously the more you stake, the more allocation you will get for the projects. But I'm sure with them being relatively quiet and things changing, when the bull market comes, I'm sure there will be some sort of announcement, if they are active again, where they will say their new staking information, if there is, and so on. So this is definitely one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on for the future. Then some other mentions is Proof Platform. So this one popped up recently, and it's a really interesting one because this is a different take on launchpads. Basically, they allow a safe way for people to buy on launch for tokens. If you hold their proof pass, as you can see here, you get whitelisted and you're able to buy their launches early. And obviously everyone wants to get into the early launches. If we have a look at their projects that they've had, you can see they've had some quite decent ones. You can see here, for example, GMBot that recently launched. We can go here and check their chart. You can see it's at 1.24 market cap, currently all-time high. So if you are a pass holder, you would have been able to buy on their launch. So if we go back to their launch, obviously the launch price started very, very low. For example, around here, let's say 2 cents, and now you would be 6x or probably even more actually. So that is the benefit of Proof, but also they have quite a lot of projects, so you need to do your own research and check which ones you actually want to invest in. But that's definitely an interesting one to keep an eye on. So next up, I want to talk about Commonwealth. So this is also a really interesting concept, also one where you need to hold an NFT. You can see the Genesis NFT Series 1 and NFT Series 2. And if you have the Genesis NFT Series 1, you get some extra benefits, but both will give you access to private sales. So what they say here is 99% of the planet retail investors do not have access to seed and private sale deals. With Commonwealth, you'll be able to invest in this early stage investment that normally you wouldn't be able to. And that is via holding the NFT. And you can see here they have the Series 1 and Series 2. And it's their take on a fair launch where anyone can purchase it and get the same perks usually reserved for VCs. So there's different benefits for holding this token, like revenue share and so on. But definitely one that's interesting and worth keeping an eye on. Then some other mentions I wanted to say but not talk too much about is Camelot Launchpad. This one hasn't been too active recently. You can see the last raise was only in August, so they've died down a bit. But they did have some really good sales. For example, Winner Protocol, which is up and almost at all-time high actually. So that is very promising for the future. And obviously Arbitrum is really hyped. So if Arbitrum keeps pumping and it stays hyped, then I'm sure this Launchpad will be the go-to one for projects on Arbitrum. And here you can see on their website on Launchpad, you can see their raises of past and how much they raised. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on as well. That wraps up my Launchpad video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and learned something. I would appreciate it if you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter and Telegram, and let me know if there are any Launchpads that you guys are especially bullish on that you want me to look into. Definitely be interested in that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.